Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another F1 2019 game ideas themed video here, and we've got 10 other things we want in the F1 2019 game. All of these really collated from your comments from the last video. We've done 2 of these videos so far, and all 10 of these you're about to see in the video have been literally all from ones that you guys have suggested in the comments below, ones that were really thumbs up quite a fair bit. So by the end of this video, be sure to comment below any other ideas you have, and obviously if you like the other ideas you're seeing by other fellow commenters and viewers, be sure to thumbs them up, and then we can get another 10 going for another video. But of course, this is the perfect time to be doing this sort of video, because right now Codemasters are probably in the middle of winding up the development for F1 2019. They're in the foundational work of next year's game, and so this is the best time to really be doing these kind of videos, not leaving it too late like I did last year maybe. So we're going to go ahead with 10 other things we want to see in the F1 2019 game, and by the time we finish the video, if you do end up enjoying it, be sure to hit that like button, guys. But let's get into it nonetheless with number 1, teammate R&D. So obviously the player is able to do R&D. You get resource points for the practice program, qualifying, and the race. You get a small little bonus from qualifying, and you get a bit of a bigger one from the race if you match your targets and do well in the Grand Prix. And then you collate those points together, you save up a little bit, you choose either a minor, major, or ultimate upgrade, but it's always the player that has to do the work. And really, in real life Formula 1, obviously, when you develop the car, it's not just you, it's the entire team. Obviously, in the game, there's no way for you to do the entire team, but you could imagine that the both drivers have an input of the car. Both drivers are giving separate bits of feedback every single race weekend about how the car's driving. I want the car to kind of feel like this or that, and then they go back to debriefs after the race. They talk about what they kind of liked and didn't like about the car, what they want to change, what they need more from the car, and then the engineers try and respond to it, hopefully, but okay, this guy's, one driver wants this kind of performance on the car, this driver wants this more, so they try and make the parts to kind of satisfy both kind of parties. So it'd be great to see a system where the teammate, the AI teammate, is saving points as well, and maybe you both have to work together to upgrade the car anymore. So I kind of picture it like a half and half kind of scenario. So picture this, it's like race number 3, you've saved up some points. Now let's say you've saved up like, I don't know, 600 points, and your teammate also has 600-ish kind of points. So for this to work, maybe Codemasters have to set the R&D points that you earn to about half of the amount you earn right now, because the other half would go to your teammate, basically, because you earn the points as a team, and it gets divvied up between you and your teammate. And then basically, if you look at the R&D tree, you can see the R&D tree gets colored in anyway when you purchase an upgrade. But let's say your teammate has already decided he wants to have one specific upgrade. Let's say, for example, the aerodynamics. He wants to improve the front downforce, so the minor front downforce. He's highlighted that in, I don't know, like pink or whatever, or yellow, a color that's not used on the chart basically, but it's highlighted that your teammate has put that option down for he wants to upgrade it in that part, but he's only spent half the points towards that upgrade. And then it's your decision if you want to also work with him in tandem, spend the other half points to actually make that upgrade happen, or you yourself can go away and upgrade a different part of the car. So i.e. you could basically end up doing, okay, he spent like 150 on the minor, I need to finish it off by spending the second half of 150 on the minor upgrade to finish that upgrade. Or I'm going to be a bit selfish, I don't want to do aero, I want engine power, so I'm going to spend my entire 300 points on a minor engine upgrade. I'm going to leave that part at half completed, and so next race the AI teammate could on his own accord just finish off the upgrade himself, or again you could finish it off for him in the second race, then the next one coming up afterwards. So you kind of have this autonomous part of the tree that's growing via your teammate, and you can speed things along by upgrading with him. But the counterpart is it's not going to speed it up double time, because you get half the amount of R&D points earned every single time you do practice sessions and the race, because half of it goes to your teammate. So there's kind of a need to work with your teammate in as well. Obviously that might not work completely in reality, because we know how unfortunately the AI can be a little bit stupid here and there. How many times have we seen like the Mercedes cars, they just do some really stupid upgrades, like they upgrade the reliability to maximum for no apparent reason, they just leave all their performance parts. So there is a caveat of sometimes the AI can't be they're not sometimes the brightest kind of bunch basically at upgrading the car in the best places, but it would be interesting to see how that kind of concept would work, because it is probably more to real life in terms of 2 drivers working together in tandem to upgrade the car. Obviously you have like 1 and number 2 drivers, but in reality they're both still working equally to improve the car, because a better car at the end of the day is a better car for both of them, not just one of them. Number 2 is is going to be new cutscenes and just celebrations for the podium. How many times have we seen now the same celebrations now? I think for 3 years straight. I think since F1 2016, I want to say. Very, very similar celebrations and animations for the podium, and also literally the exact same animation for the driver getting out of the car, waving his like 2 hands in the air. He does the little swivel left or right, jumps down, puts his fist up in the air, and that's about it. I know it's the smallest thing in the world, and it only occurs when you get the podium position or you go to the end of the race, but it would be nice to have a bit of a difference. That's the kind of difference between, you can see it's a smaller game to a kind of, getting a little bit bigger in terms of, different animations, i.e. take FIFA, for example. They have so many different animations, dialogue, and all that, so just new celebrations would be great, and along with that, like I mentioned, new dialogue, that's always going to be great as well, because I know they did some work at changing a few of the dialogue pieces in this year's game for Crofty and Anthony Davidson, but I don't know, I know it would cost more maybe to get them in to do more, and do more speech stuff, but it would be nice, because after like 5 seasons, you've heard the same exact commentary, and everyone's seen the same animation, even after they've done like 5 races, they see the exact same podium animation, so it'd be nice to have that, and maybe unique animations to drivers, Dan Ricciardo doing a shoey or something like that, or Sebastian Vettel doing his weird Egyptian sort of dance, or, I don't know, Hamilton just pumping his fist like really close to his chest like he's done quite a few times when he gets out of the car, something like that, or maybe, as Hamilton has done, maybe just sitting beside his car, like praying to his car and kind of just stroking the engine cover just to be like thank you to the car. We've seen him do that many times. It'd be really nice to have those personal touches in a way, and the same thing for just, like I said, all the drivers have a few little personal touches here and there. Of course, I know there are a few drivers that don't. In that case, just keep the default animations, but when they are unique touches you can add, that'd be really nice to see. Number 3 is going to be more consistent safety cars. It's still a very inconsistent thing. I know they've tried to improve it in the latest patches to the F1 2018 game, but the safety car still is a little bit too inconsistent in terms of sometimes the car will literally just have an engine failure, will park up in a very safe spot, and the safety car will pulled out, and then you have like another car just crashing into a wall, spewing across the rest of the track, parks up in the most dangerous position ever, and there's no safety car. So sometimes there does need to be a bit of tweaking on the consistency front there, and generally speaking, that would just make the experience a little bit better, because there are moments in a race, I know for sure, I've had it in my career mode, where I've seen a crash happen or an engine failure, and I can see they parked up in a bad place, so I'm thinking, oh, is there going to be a safety car? And you're left disappointed because there's not. Or vice versa, you didn't want a safety car, you saw a crash happen up ahead that wasn't that serious, or an engine failure that wasn't that serious, and the safety car gets called out, and you're thinking, why on earth has Charlie Whiting called out the safety car then? Why has the game done that? Because it just doesn't need to happen there, but oh, it happened earlier when it didn't need to. So just a bit more consistent, it's in that kind of front. And that links into number 4, which is, this was quite a big thumbs up. I think this is the most thumbs up comment in the last video, and I was quite surprised by that, because it's quite a small thing, but animations of removal of the car from track. Like, can we see the crane actually hoisting the car up and lifting it over the fence, at Monaco, for example, or Suzuka, where they have those huge mega cranes doing that, or just the marshals on track trying to just push the car out of the way. The cars already do the animation of they actually try and find where the escape road is on the track, and they park up there. Then why not have, it would be maybe a little bit costly in terms of CPU and power to the game that they need to take from the consoles, but I don't know, it would be a cool touch just to kind of see marshals push the car out the way, or a crane taking the car out. Just adds that little bit of realism, and it goes back to that point of time and time again, for F1 fans, I feel like more so than any other sports game, for F1 fans, it's these small details sometimes that can all add up. Like, if you have 10 minor details that are all really good, it adds up to a really nice touch to the game, whereas, obviously it's great to have one huge new feature, but also equally 10 small features can add up together to really polish it off and just give that authenticity of F1, which I feel Cody's have been trying to strive for anyway, with authenticity of the game, and so it'd be great to kind of have that further with these kind of newer animation styles. Obviously, I know there's probably a limit of what they can do, especially with the consoles. PC's a different game, but consoles, they have a finite of allocation of power and resources they have from a PS4 and Xbox One, so, I can understand why they don't do it maybe, but it would be a very nice touch. Number 5, and this one is one I can really get behind, better replay camera options, because I don't know about you guys, have you seen the camera where literally the camera's on the side of the side pod, is looking towards the car mostly, and you can't see squat ahead of the track? It's the most useless replay camera in the world, and it just needs to get out of the F1 game, and we need to be able to choose what off-board cameras we want. We have, obviously, you can go from cockpit to the T-cam, the offset T-cam, the chase cam, and then you have one setting for TV camera. I hopefully want to see TV camera be 5 different options, so you have 5 different angles you can switch to, and you know what, that will infinitely improve the F1 esports as well, because the esports broadcast sometimes gets hindered by the camera angle they have to use, so that would be infinitely better if they can have a better replays camera system where there's more customization in the actual camera angle you're using. For the esports, would be great. For league racing, for league racers that do videos of their entire league, that would be great. And then for career mode as well, it'd be great for creators like me to show off it as well. And then also for you guys, if you watch back on replay cameras, sometimes if there's like an incident you want to watch back, sometimes you can't actually see the incident because the game at that moment in time has chosen to have that shoulder camera on the side pod, which shows you like the entire screens of the car and nothing of what's actually happening on the front wing or anything like that. It shows you like half of the halo as well, and it's just the most useless camera ever. So that'd be really good as well, just for, you know, the player base, just to kind of see back their race in a better way, a just more aesthetically pleasing way, rather than a horrendous camera. Number 6. Now, we've mentioned this before about team orders maybe coming into play in the game. You know, being able to say to Jeff, make sure my teammate is going to come into the pits maybe to give him instructions. But this is directly linked to reputation. So this is an idea from one of you guys saying, can we do team orders, and if we ignore them, it's going to be a rep decrease for your team. If you do actually accept them, it's going to be a rep increase, and vice versa. If your teammate doesn't do it, then it's also a rep decrease for him, and that kind of plays into the idea that I thought that the AI should all have a reputation of their own. They should all fluctuate as well, along with the players. So you actually have a bit more of an organic kind of feel to the entire grid. So with team orders coming back, if they came in to the game, you could link it to reputation to make it even more grounded, because obviously I can see maybe why they wouldn't want to pit team orders, because it's a bit of a novelty sort of thing. But if it actually meant something, like if you signed the second driver contract, for example, and you constantly got given messages to let your teammate by, and you didn't do it, it would mean a lot in real life. So it'd be great to actually have that in the game where it means a lot, and it's a kind of only a consequence of you signing a second driver contract. Like, if you don't want that to happen, make sure you sign a first driver contract or an equal driver contract to make sure you don't have team orders in the future. Number 7 is going to be historical circuits. So we had historical circuits in the past on F1 2013, and then I guess they just didn't feel like doing the licensing again for those circuits. I can imagine it's maybe costly and time consuming to, go there and check out the circuit, make sure it's like the realistic version possible they could make of these historic tracks, and just licensing of these, 2018 cars, or in the case of, next year's game, 2019 cars going on these tracks. I'm sure maybe F1 finds it a little bit tricky to allow the modern cars on the old circuits because they don't do them in real life, but it would be really cool, for one-off Grand Prix sessions, even like, online races. Imagine like a league race season where they have a few historical tracks in there to really throw a curveball into the mix. It'd be absolutely awesome. Obviously, they probably would never use it for esports, but it'd be great for league racing, maybe for online, and then also just for offline Grand Prix mode. Obviously, you can't do it in the career mode, but just in Grand Prix mode, it'd be really cool to experience that, because it was really fun back in the day. F1 2013, I remember very fondly, driving Jerez. Jerez was a really fun circuit because Jerez's not a race circuit really, especially for the F1 cars. They're now a bit too wide probably for the circuit, but it was really a nightmare, a bit of a hectic Grand Prix to try and get through the Jerez circuit. Really tight, twisty. It's a test track more so. So that was a really lot of fun. And then Brands Hatch was crazy to do in F1 cars. You have the turn 1, the downhill section, really, near flat out, and you kind of just really on the edge of the grip. It was a really fun experience, and those kind of one-off experiences, I feel like kind of add to the game in terms of having a little bit of a breather from the normal circuits. Obviously, we have the different layouts of circuits, but it'd be really cool to have completely different tracks that we've never gone to on the normal calendar available for you to race on, but of course it's going to be very tricky maybe for the licensing. Number 8 is going to be a fully spec'd out helmet editor. So we talked about doing sponsorships, but it seemed like a lot of you guys were still just banging on about we want a helmet editor, basically straight up, just able to do actually some nice designs on a helmet with shapes. Like Call of Duty has the emblem editor for different basic shapes they give you, and people get really creative with that. Just have a template display of a helmet on the left and right and the, you know, top-down profile, and give us some basic geometric shapes that you can create designs out of, that'd be really cool. Obviously, I know that's not the biggest part of the game, but again, little touches, you know, the personalization, I feel, for any gamer is really important. You know, personalization of your character, making it feel like more homely, is kind of a big deal for any gamer, really, in any kind of game, you know, be it an RPG, first-person shooter, racing game, sports game. Personalization is a big deal, really, to people, just to make it feel more unique and more personal. So, away from the idea we already gave in a previous video about sponsorships matching the teams, it'd be great, actually, just to have a helmet editor straight up there, because obviously the PC guys can modify it, console guys cannot. So, again, for the guys for the console, it'd be really good for them to have a helmet editor. Number 9 is going to be the pit lane getting mixed up based on the career constructors standings. This has been a legacy thing that has not been the case for the entirety of the F1 game. So obviously the way the teams are lined up in the pit lane is dependent on where they finished in the Constructors' Championship last season, apart from a few different circuits a la Silverstone, where they have a very odd pit lane where it goes underneath. So in the case of Silverstone, they actually make sure the top teams are at the actual start of the pit lane so that people can actually see into the garages, and then they have the lesser known teams, the lower teams, at the bottom, basically, where they basically go underground pretty much on the pit wall. But for every other normal circuit where it's a flat terrain, it's usually based off the constructors' standings. So it'd be great to see season to season in career mode those actual garages changing. And I actually don't see why they haven't done it so far, because it doesn't seem too difficult on the scratch of it, in terms of it's almost like picking up a square of 3D space of that's the Ferrari garage and plonking it in slot number 2. I guess there's a link to, I think they load in the exact same world and universe of each track for every single scenario, so be it career mode, time trial, online, so everything has to stay put maybe for them to load it in easily. But again, you know, going that extra mile of being able to maybe load it in differently for just offline, having them move about for the constructors, again, adds that touch to, you know, if I've won the championship with, I don't know, let's say Sauber, if I've won the championship with Sauber, you know, and we're still at the bottom of the pit lane, it's kind of like, come on, we're the champions here, like, you know, give us a bit of a, you know, crowning spot. We're the reigning constructors champions, you know, give us a bit of respect on our name. So, you know, put us at the front of the pit lane. So that would be very cool. That was another big thumbs up comment from the last video, and I do agree with it, actually, because it's not been a thing for, like I said, like 8 years now. So it's kind of weird it hasn't been. It would be a very cool thing. And finally, number 10 is going to be more of a break and a breather between seasons and more of a bigger deal. And I've said this definitely before in an F1 2018 game idea video I did earlier this year, back in March, when we were talking about F1 2018, that there needs to be more of an emphasis of season to season. Like, it's still too quick. There's that small cutscene where Emma, your PR agent, talks about, you know, you've done well, you know, enjoy the summer break, enjoy the winter break. But that's just not enough, because that cutscene ends, and then just like that, you're loaded into the next season. The loading screen's happening, you're already at Melbourne. It'd be really great to actually maybe have a cutscene of you going back to the factory, and then it takes you to that R&D screen, maybe. So you just load in, you know, you go from the cutscene, fades to black, comes back out from black, fades in from black to literally the R&D screen, and that's where you can see maybe how people are progressing. I actually thought it could be a cool idea. From season to season, of course, we know with the R&D resets now, there can be some change in the pecking order. How cool would it be if you saw the performance chart, you can see all the lines for the previous season, and then the graph kind of has an animation where we move through the weeks of winter and we see a live change in the lines going up and down and kind of fluctuating about for where the teams are upgrading over winter. And so it keeps you guessing of where the teams are going to end up in terms of the pecking order until the animation stops and freezes and it says we've got to Melbourne, and then this is how the pecking order looks like, rather than me going to the first screen at the Australian Grand Prix, flicking through the menu to the performance chart and saying, oh, that's the pecking order. It'd be really cool to maybe build up some tension and some hype around, okay, ooh, what's the pecking order going to be for the next season as the performance chart lines, the live update as it goes along. Hopefully I'm trying to explain it correctly. I'm picturing it in my head. Hopefully you guys can picture it in your head as well. But basically a live updating performance chart line as we go through winter to show you the pecking order at the end. And then, yeah, just more cutscenes. You know, maybe you could could do the R&D, instead of doing it at the end of Abu Dhabi, maybe actually have like a cutscene, then you go into the factory, then you choose the upgrades you want. Maybe it's a bit of a different screen, or I don't know, you get another bonus for the winter, and then you spend your points. So just a bigger deal. A bigger deal has to be made, because it really feels like one season's over, and then literally 5 seconds, and I'm at the next season. Whereas in real life, obviously, it's a big breather, and I almost feel like in the game, you kind of need that sense of a big breather, because then it starts to wear out you. You just done a whole season, and the game goes, here you go, it's a whole other season again. Up at it. It's 21 races to go again. Go away straight away. It just, yeah, there needs to be a bit of a breather. So that's been 10 other ideas for the F1 2019 game and future F1 games, obviously, as well. They can't take into account the F1 2019 if it's a little bit too late for some of these ideas, but I'm really hoping that someone from Cody's can see this and just kind of take some of these things on board or list them about. But obviously, it's always really useful just for us as a community to keep on talking about, kind of ideas we're having, just kind of just generate buzz a little bit in that kind of perspective. So guys, as I said, be sure to let me know in the comments below any other ideas that weren't in this video or previous videos. Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to go check out those 2 videos before as well, in case you kind of double comment an idea we've already done. And then, as I said, if you do like what you see from other people, thumbs up the comments, and then once we get 10 more, we can do another video like this and kind of discuss it once again. But if you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around, do subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.